This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords.
I am definitely a madman with a box.
Anyone for jelly, baby?
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castobrus.
Hey Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
And my name's Adam.
And we're at episode 77. I hope you guys have had a great week. We got some great news items to go through this morning and a pretty cool review this week.
Yeah.
One of the lesser spoken David Tennant stories.
Yeah, but overlooked.
Yeah. We seem to like the overlooked ones.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see if you think this is overlooked for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, though.
Ah, yes, of course. The infamous Big Blue Box podcast stamp of approval, or the kicking out of the back door into the bin.
Into the bin, yeah.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to, buddy? Anything cool?
What have I been up to? Since we last spoke, I went to see the Dad's Army movie last weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any good?
It's mildly amusing.
Oh.
No, I think I love the original series, and I think it's very hard to, as soon as these films get announced, I think it's very hard to sort of recreate that. They do a decent enough job. The cast are great in it. It's an amazing cast, but it wasn't. It could have been a lot better. I felt given a sharper script, it would have been brilliant. But it was all right. It was an easy watch. It was a nice Sunday afternoon film.
Oh, okay.
I watched that. And in terms of Who. I haven't actually been watching much since we last spoke, apart from the review app. I was up in London yesterday, so I did my usual sort of 3-shop stop, if you like. It was a bit of a disaster, actually, because I started off at the stamp centre. My usual little route, and they didn't have anything that I wanted, so I left there quite quickly. And then I normally go up to the cinema store, which is sort of 5 minutes up the road, and it had closed. No. I got there and it was all boarded up, and the cinema store, just for the benefit of the listeners, is a bit of a sort of knick-knack shop, isn't it? So it's always getting, every time I go in, it's got loads of a lot of it's sort of second-hand, so you often get like the little Titan figures that people have got dupes of, and so you never know what you're going to get in there. I've picked up loads of figures from them over the years and stuff like that, and so I was a bit gutted. And the weird thing is, a few months ago, I did go to that store, and I thought it had closed because it's in this strange sort of side building, and then realised that actually I was looking at the wrong store, and it was still there. So it was really weird yesterday. I sort of stood there for a good couple of minutes just looking, thinking, I am looking at the right place, aren't I? This definitely has shut this time. But no, sadly it has. It was just all boarded up. So I don't think they've gone anywhere else because there was no sign saying we've moved or anything. So it looks like they've gone.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, so I left there and then I went to my third shop, which is always FP, Forbidden Planet. And, interesting experience. I know we've said before about the staff in there. The guy that served me yesterday, I think, takes the biscuit for the most miserable, rude member of staff I've had.
Oh, no.
It was unbelievable, mate. I basically, there was something in the cabinet I wanted. And he was like, "Oh, I've got to get the key then." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh," and he was like slothed, he was all hunched over and miserable. And I said, "It didn't even ask if." I said, "Oh, I'm looking at possibly getting this," and it was the 10th Doctor. You know these maxi busts? They're like busts of the figures.
Yes. Yep.
So they've got, it's sort of like a half body, isn't it? They haven't got any legs. They're on like a bust. So they got the 10th Doctor one in there, which I haven't seen for a while. And I've started to sort of collect these things. I've got the 11th Doctor and the 4th. So yeah, they didn't have one on the shelf. So we had to get the one out of the cabinet, which was just apparently too much effort for him. And he was really grumpy about it. Anyway, I got it. And he sort of boxed it up without even showing me because I just wanted to look at it to see what it was like. But before I knew it, it was behind the counter waiting for me. And I got that, and I did actually buy it. I tried to get a bit of discount because it was display, but they were having none of it. So I bought it, and it's really good. It looks really nice next to my 11th Doctor one. So I've got the 2 now, which is pretty good.
Nice.
But apart from that, mate, I haven't really been been up to that much. Just I've been trying not to spend too much money, so that was a bit of a treat yesterday.
Yeah, cool. That's a shame about the cinema store.
It is a shame, yeah, because
Yeah.
I love that little shop.
Because when we went to, when was it? Was it the festival in November last year? You and I went on that little trek, didn't we? Went to the stamp store.
Stamp Centre, yeah,
Stamp
Sci-Fi
Centre.
Collector Stamp Centre, yeah.
And then we went over to Cinema Store, and it's a really cool little walk around as well, because we stopped it was like a real geek afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're my three little sort of shop stops. I always do
Yeah.
the same three because they're close together, and it's a nice little walk through Covent Garden and stuff. And yeah, so it's a bit of a shame to see they've finally gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you've been doing a bit of shopping, I see, on our Facebook page. You've been getting a few pickups lately.
Yes, I did have a few pickups. We just by coincidence, or we happened to be travelling through East London again last weekend, and obviously, travelling through East London, you cannot stop. You cannot stop at the Who shop. So my better half was like, 10 minutes. Go on, you got 10 minutes because parking's a nightmare anyway. So we found this spot luckily, and yeah, so I picked up a few bits in there. I got this really cool coaster that matches that really cool mug. Everything's really cool again, obviously.
Yeah, very cool.
So the mug that I picked up, the big, like comic book style one.
Is it the TARDIS one?
Yeah, and then I've got
Yeah.
So I got the coaster that matches. So that's awesome.
Matching mug and coaster.
I've got another mug as well. I think you've got it, the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker mug.
Oh yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, with the quote on the back with the jelly baby. And I got picked up an old Big Finish as well. Not actually. Is it that old? It's a McCoy one. You Are the Doctor. I don't think it's too old, but
What's it called? You Are the Doctor.
You Are the Doctor. Yeah,
Can't think of that one.
yeah, yeah. Because I think normally the markup on their stuff is not amazing. It's called You Are the Doctor and Other Stories.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm with you. I know
Sophie Aldred as well. So looking forward to that. I did have a little bit of an off experience in there.
Oh no, you as well.
Yes, and I'm really not going to complain or moan too much about it. But for anyone who knows this shop, if you've been in there, they've got a proper life-size TARDIS replica in there, or the actual prop, I assume, from one of the older shows.
Apparently, it's the one from the Cushion movies, although it doesn't look like it to me. But maybe it's been repainted. But apparently, that's the one it's meant to be.
Yeah. So, anyways, they've got a sign on there that says "No photos without the owner's permission." So, I assumed, rightly or wrongly, that you weren't allowed to take a picture of the TARDIS or have your picture taken in front of the TARDIS without permission from the owners, which is fair enough. Anyway, I was right at the other end of the store, looking at T-shirts and whatnot, and my wife said to me, "So, you haven't taken a selfie yet?" So I said, "That's a very good point. Let's do that." So I turned around, got my phone out, literally like a nanosecond of turning my phone on. All I heard was, "Oh, no, you, no."
Oh my god!
I was like, okay. And I can't remember the lady, because it's a couple that own it, and I can't remember the lady's name. Her name escapes me, but yeah, she was like, I'm very sorry. No photos, absolutely no photos in the store whatsoever. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't see a sign apart from the TARDIS. And she was like, no, we've put a sign on the door now. No photos anywhere in the store, strictly prohibited. I was like,
wow, that told you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really sorry.
Why is that though? Because if you go into they have a little museum there, don't they? You go through the TARDIS and into like a little museum at the back of the shop.
That's right.
They've got like props and all sorts of stuff back there. And I remember saying to the guy, "Oh, I'm assuming there's no photos in here." He's like, "Oh no, you can take as many as you like in here." I was thinking that's really weird. So you can't take any in the shop, which is just stock and not really. But you can't. But you can take as many as you like in the museum.
Yeah,
it's really bizarre.
Weird. And I really didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever.
But what is it about that shop she doesn't want people to see? Because they've got the most amazing stuff in there.
It's really cool, yeah. And it's really cool. But I could have said, I was thinking of saying like, well, I run a Doctor Who podcast, and this is going to go out to like, several thousand people. So chances are they'll see it and they'll be like, wow, that's inside the Who shop's really cool. Let's go and check it out. But no, I just left it. I was like, okay, whatever. I just stayed in there for another minute and paid and went. So
maybe she nicked that TARDIS. She doesn't want people to know.
She doesn't.
That's really strange. Yeah.
Yeah, which is bizarre because every other time I've gone in there, they've been totally chilled. Mainly, they've never had anything said, and I'm sure I've taken a photo, like literally just inside the door as well, like in full view of the till, the counter, and everything, and no one said anything. So I don't know. Maybe they were just brushing up on their policies. Maybe
clamping down on it. I was going to say there is two guys. See, I know the woman you're talking about, the owner, and moving on. There is two guys that work there who are really, really nice. They're really, really friendly. Well, I assume they're still there. They were there the last time I went.
Two young guys.
Two young guys, and they're really, really friendly and nice. Whereas the woman, she is nice, but she is a little bit sharp.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know when last time she served me, somebody opened the door and threw a burger wrapper on the floor for some reason, but I hadn't noticed. So I'd got my back to the door and I put my stuff on the counter, and she just was sat there, just looking straight ahead. And I thought, what's going on? I thought she was just like staring straight through me. And because I was totally unaware that this thing had happened behind me, but she didn't sort of say, "Oh, just a minute," or anything like that. She just sort of stared for what felt like forever, and then in the end, I say, "Is everything all right?" And she was like, "Yeah, just we'll just get that sorted." And it was just, I don't know, it was just the most bizarre thing.
Yeah,
but I think she's just a bit funny.
Yes, it was a bit of a strange one, but like I said, no, not going to hold it against her or anything like that. Whatever.
It is a great shop. Maybe the people in London just weren't in a very good mood this week, because everywhere I went yesterday, everywhere seemed really miserable, apart from one lady that I spoke to in a Hotel Chocolate, whatever it's called. Mind you, you would be happy working in a chocolate shop, wouldn't you?
Of course, yeah.
She was very friendly.
Be happy all the time, yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that, everyone was miserable.
Cool, yeah.
You got some good stuff.
Cool. I got some cool little bits, yeah. Not much else, really. I was away with work. I was up in Newcastle for a few days. And I was a little bit bummed out that I had no Who to watch, because normally by Wednesday or Thursday night I've watched at least a couple of Doctor Who stories. But fortunately the horror channel came to my aid. Yeah. So I sat there in a hotel room. I'd got my little takeout dinner, my Chinese, browsing through the channels, and lo and behold, the horror channel serves up Silver Nemesis.
Nemesis. We haven't done that one, have we? We'll do that one day.
So that was cool. So that's really it's really good that the horror channel is still pumping out the classic stuff, because just when you're in need of watching some Who, you've got nothing with you. And I wasn't on the network either to get to go to the BBC store or anything like that, and I wouldn't be able to stream it to the TV anyway. But horror channel came to my aid.
It's like I love it, because you never know what you're going to get either with the horror channel, because it's all out of order. It's like a little sort of lucky dip, isn't it? So you can just literally turn over like, right, who have we got tonight?
Yeah.
And I loved that you put a screen grab, didn't you, of the Sylvester? And I've always wanted to go to that place. I don't even know if it's a real. Is it like it's like a cafe or outside jazz cafe or something? It just looks so. I just would love to sit out there like they do. Yeah. Yeah,
it's a really nice little scene as well. Somebody popped up on Twitter and said, "Oh, that's a really nice, really good scene between the Doctor and Ace," and it is a great little conversation they have, actually.
It is a nice bit. I've been to the the castle, Arundel, like that fort they go to.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where the what's the silver woman, the woman in the castle where she's going mad. I've been to that place. That's a really great little place to go, actually, that little bit by the fort. And
okay.
I dragged my poor partner miles trying to find the bit where the TARDIS landed, because I was looking for there's like a little wooden cross sign that, I was thinking, right, I'll know it when I see it. And we kept asking people, do you know where this thing is? Because I'd got the .2 location thing out on my phone. Oh, we walked miles trying to find that blimmin' stop. And in the end, I found the stick, but it was right at the top of this hill.
Okay.
Not hill, sorry, that's like a mound. And I was thinking, there's no way they dragged the TARDIS prop up there, surely. Anyway, I had to, because we'd found it, I had to go up and get a picture there. But I'm still not convinced I found the right place.
No?
Well, I just can't. I was thinking, why would they drag the TARDIS up this blimmin'... Unless it was to get that shot of the Arundel Castle in the background. I don't know. But anyway, maybe. I think I found it. But the fort's great. If anyone ever gets a chance to go to Arundel, that little fort is like in the middle of sort of park, from what I remember. It's very, there's no sort of pay to get to or anything. You can literally just walk up to it, and yeah, it's a great little place.
Oh, cool. You like your location sheets, don't you?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was before I started doing my videos. Otherwise, I would have done a location vid there. But maybe one day I'll go back. Because I would love to go back. I lived in London then, and it used to be a lot easier for me to get to these places. So not so easy for me now. But yeah, I would love to go back there one day, actually, to that fort.
Good stuff.
We could reenact a bit of Silver Nemesis, couldn't we, if we went together?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be fun.
That's on the cards, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to do a location.
Reenacting Silver Nemesis?
No, we're going to go and do hopefully a location thing.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
At some point this year. Talking at some point this year, I'm still thinking about Cardiff,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, still. Because are we kind of decided that we're doing that, the Cardiff
I'm
weekend?
definitely doing it.
Yeah.
I've got to. I'm absolutely determined to do it, yeah. This is for the... What's it? It's Showmasters, isn't it? Doing
Cardiff Comic Con.
Cardiff Comic Con, which, to be honest with you, the guests aren't that great for the Cardiff one. I'm a little bit disappointed, especially looking at the Bournemouth one, which is the following week. Like, there's some brilliant people at the Bournemouth one, but I want to go to the Cardiff because I've never done the Doctor Who experience, so I'm going to do that probably on the Saturday, and then I want to do the Cardiff Comic Con on the Sunday. So I'm going to sort of try and cram it all into one weekend.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely want to do that. I've got to get Colin, you see. I'm on a mission to get Colin to sign my Regenerations box set because I've got Tom, Peter and Sylve.
Yep.
So I need to fill that gap in. So yeah, I'm definitely up for it. I've definitely got to do it.
They have added a couple more people since I last looked.
Oh, yeah.
Nicola Bryant. Or was she there already?
No, she's there already, mate.
Okay. Jeffrey Beavers.
Oh, yeah, he's really nice, actually. I was guessing not Davros. He's the master, isn't he? He's the crispy master. Yeah,
the
cool.
crispy, yeah. Who else? Was Gemma Redgrave there before? She's there now.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's only doing the Saturday, so I probably won't get to meet her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they are leaving it very late. They normally announce a load of people a few weeks before. So we're coming up to that time now. So maybe we'll see a few more.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
But as I say, if not, we'll there's loads of other stuff I want to pack in. I want to go to the diner where they did, the diner that was in Series 6 and also at the end of Hellbent, wasn't it? That was the same place, I think. So I want to do that. I want to find that cafe where the 10th Doctor and Wilf sit and have their chat. I want us to sit in there and reenact that scene.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So weekend of 5th and 6th of March.
Yes.
Come and join us in Cardiff. We'll do the Comic-Con thing on the Sunday and the experience on the Saturday.
Yeah, Cardiff, here we come.
Yay. Rightio. Let's land it and do the news, buddy.
Okay, let's do it.
First up, the Moth. The Moth has been awarded a prize.
Oh,
quite a cool prize.
Yeah.
Yep. Bagged himself an OBE.
Has he really?
No less. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. So he's been presented this for his services to drama.
Okay.
And so it was announced on the honours list because they normally leak these nowadays, don't they?
Yeah.
But I didn't see him on this one. I heard nothing about his name beforehand. Because you normally do. Like, it used to be a very closely guarded secret going back a few years. But for some reason these days they always seem to leak them and we know what's coming up. So yeah, the Moth was presented by the Prince of Wales.
Ooh.
At Buckingham Palace, obviously.
I'm looking at a nice picture of him holding it up now. Looks very pleased.
Yeah, and he's got quite a good title that goes with it as well. It makes him an Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire.
I actually love that.
That's brilliant.
Wow,
isn't it?
that is worth getting for that alone.
That will look amazing on your CV.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Yeah, so I think that was. I think this is thoroughly deserved.
Yeah,
I would say he's in my opinion, one of these guys that never seems to stop working. Just doesn't stop.
He does work hard. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, he's got his, haters, if you like, out there, people that bash him. But no, he does work hard. It's true, and he's done a lot. I mean, he's done. He's not just done Doctor Who.
No.
I don't know if you ever watched. Did you ever watch Coupling?
I know of
comedy
it. I didn't
series
watch
he
it.
did. Yeah, he did about 4 series of that, I think. But I was thinking actually more about what he's got coming up this year, because considering we've got no Doctor Who this year, the Moff is going to be working like a trooper.
Yeah.
I was looking at his work schedule just for this year alone, and he's got like 14 episodes of Doctor Who. And is he doing more Sherlock this year?
Yeah, I think isn't he working on a Sherlock film as well?
3 Sherlock films? I don't know. He's got a lot on this year, considering none of it's going out to next year. But he's got plenty of work, which is always nice.
Yeah, thoroughly deserved, I would say.
Yeah.
The Moff gets an OBE.
Well done, Mr. Steven Moffat.
Yeah.
Right, other news. Do you remember this pinball table that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago? It was the 1990s. They did like this Doctor Who pinball table, which was very iconic.
Yes.
Really sort of classic. Had all the Doctors on there. And we're not quite sure who the long-haired one is. We think it's Peter Davison. But basically, there was a Kickstarter project to get this pinball table recreated in digital form. Well, it's reached its target with 3 days to go. So it's raised over $56,000. Which is fantastic, actually. And as I said, I think this is, when you see the picture of it, I think it's one of those things, even if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, as soon as you see this picture of the table, you'd be like, oh, I have seen that. I know that. Yeah, it's a very iconic thing. So I'm really, really pleased about this, actually, because I would love to have this as a digital thing. I think it will be great. And they're talking about doing a new version as well, presumably a digital version, which is going to feature the new Doctors, like a current version as well. So that's great. I think they've reopened it to get funds for the rest of it, and basically that money has secured the rights they needed, I assume, and stuff like that. So
That's right. Yep.
So yeah, this is really good. I'm really, really pleased about this. It seems to have gathered pace quite quickly as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, because when we spoke about it, I think it was 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
It was only at something like 20% of its target.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Something like that, and it seemed to have just rocketed through. So if we've helped that in some way, then that's a good thing, because I certainly backed it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting a copy of it whenever it comes out later on in the year. But if any of our listeners went on and backed it, or because we put it on Twitter as well, and so yeah, it's really, really good. I can't wait to play it, and it's also the sound effects as well. They've recaptured all of the original sound files from the, because I know we've spoken about how good the picture looks and all that stuff, but I think the old retro sound effects of music are really good as well. So yeah, really good stuff. And if they do another, did you say they've redone it for the newer Doctors, like modern?
They're going to do they're hoping to do another one, so that they intend to develop a modern version of the table as well, featuring new Doctors and new material. So I think, yeah, they've obviously sort of thought this through, but presumably they'll get the classic one up and running first, and then follow on from there. But yeah,
Excellent.
It's good.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
I'll be getting it.
Good stuff.
Even though I'm rubbish at games.
Well, pinball's not too taxing, is it?
No,
Let's
it's
be
not.
honest.
I think I can handle pinball.
Yeah. Last up in the news, Series 10 is underway.
Yeah.
Which is quite exciting, because we always feel like we're slipping into the dark times when we don't have any Doctor Who stuff going on, because for any Star Wars fans out there who are old enough to be around between Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace, there's many years of just, zero stuff coming out officially, and when there's no Doctor Who announced for quite some time, it does feel like you're slipping into that black hole of like, where's nothing's happening, what's going on? But fortunately, series filming has started up, sort of pre-production and all that stuff, and I think the principal filming, like with the main actors and everything like that, kicks off in May.
Right. Yeah.
So I think all the pre-production stuff is going on at the moment, and they still haven't decided on who's going to be the new companion yet. So
No.
I'm not sure if that's because all that stuff is still to be worked out and needs to be written.
I don't know, mate. They need to get themselves in gear, don't they? I mean, if we're talking May, I suppose they've got a couple of months.
Well, they haven't even held auditions yet.
Well, I'd just say bring back Chameleon.
Just bring back Chameleon. That'll
just
save
give
you
him a new
quid.
battery.
Yeah,
It'll be well ready to go.
Yeah.
I noticed they've added another bit of workload to the Moff as well, because he's now doing the 2017 Christmas special as well, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
So that will then take us into 2018, and obviously Chibnall taking over, and which it's weird. When they were talking about this a few weeks ago, there's a lot of speculation about that, wasn't it? It was like, will there not be a Christmas special that year then? And so now they've decided there will be, and the Moff's writing it.
Yes.
So that will obviously form that will be his last episode then.
His very
the
last.
Christmas special next year.
Yes.
And if our gut feeling is right, that'll also be Capaldi bowing out then at Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It would be, like we said, it would be nice really for Capaldi to stay on for at least, well, just for that first episode really of the new Chibnall stuff before we see a new Doctor, just to change it up a bit. I think I mentioned, like with the Doctor Who movie, where we had Sylve in for a little bit, and then he regenerated into McGann.
Yeah.
So something like that would be good, rather than just a big climatic, exit, and then we have a new Doctor. I just think they should maybe carry Capaldi through just a little bit. But I think by that time, he would have done, 3 series?
That'll be his 3rd series, won't it? Yeah.
So that's about average for an actor playing the Doctor.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we're only speculating. We don't know what they've got up their sleeve, do we? Anything can happen, I suppose. But it would. I think a lot of us would love to see just how a different writer takes on Capaldi's Doctor, to see how he writes it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure by that time, 2018, Peter Capaldi will want to move on to other things, I would assume. I don't know.
Yes.
And we've got, what have we got to fill in the time between then? We've got Class coming out later in the year, which I know there isn't a great buzz for, but you never know. It might take us by surprise. I was thinking the other day, actually, I would have loved it if they'd have thought, right, no Doctor Who this year, it's going next year. I would have loved it if we'd have got like some new Torchwood, like even if it was a couple of specials like Sherlock or something. I would love to have seen some new Torchwood filling in the gap this year.
Yeah, that would have been great actually.
Yeah,
we got some big finish Torchwood, but a series would have been great.
It would have been, and I mean, it's just such a shame that they killed off so much of the cast. Because I was thinking that the other day, there's not many left. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen a bit of Torchwood. As I said, even some specials, so I think would have been fantastic. But I've not heard the Big Finish stuff. I hear it's really good. I've heard really, really good stuff about it.
Yep.
So I will pick those up at some point. But yeah, it's not quite the same as having it on the TV, is it?
No.
I think I might start doing a Torchwood rewatch, actually. I haven't watched it for a while, so maybe I'll just fill in my time with that.
Snap. That's a good idea. Haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
News. I think I'm going to do that. Do there for news.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Adam, my good fellow.
So let's talking to Chibnall.
Talking to Chibnall.
What
are we doing this week, buddy?
This week we are revisiting the 10th Doctor story written by Chris Chibnall, which is 42.
Distress signal. Locking on.
Now that is hot.
Can't stand the heat. Ship's probably my turn.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
Mum, it's me, it's Martha. Get out of there!
Burn with me.
Stop it! That's enough!
That is brilliant.
I know. I'll save you.
It's your fault.
What are you? Doctor! We're stuck here.
Ooh. Action-packed.
Yes, lots of shouting. Lots of shouting in this episode.
Yeah, lots of shouting and lots of running around from A to B, back to B to C.
It's very confined, isn't it? It's a very claustrophobic one. It's all in one setting, really. I was just actually quickly looking to see, is this Chibnall's first script for Doctor Who, or did he do some previously? I was trying to look while the clip was playing, but
I think
television writing.
Yeah, I think this was his First, yes, it was.
It was
Followed
okay.
by The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood.
Oh,
A few
yeah.
years later, yes. This was his first outing with the Doctor.
Right.
So, yeah, back in 2007, 19th of May, to be exact.
Ooh.
45 minutes, standard time.
Yeah.
And
Graham Harper directing. He's a bit of a stalwart, isn't he? Graham Harper in direction.
How do you mean?
That's a compliment, by the way, stalwart. I always used to think that sounds such a horrible word, but it means classic, really. Sort of like, well thought of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. A stalwart. That does sound very derogatory.
It's not, unless I've got the word wrong, which wouldn't surprise me, knowing me. But no, it means he's a very prestigious. It's just that I always struggle to say that word. Well thought of director.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. So, plot is fairly simple. The TARDIS. It's one of those really common things. The TARDIS picks up a distress signal. This is funny actually, because when I was listening to a Big Finish story on the train the other day, it was a Colin Baker story, and it was the one where we're so bad with names. It's the one where he goes. It's called The One Doctor.
Oh yeah, with Christopher Biggins.
Christopher Biggins, yeah, an old one. And there was this bit where the Doctor's having a game of Monopoly.
Yeah.
With Perry at the beginning, and he's really miffed that once again he has to answer a random distress call. He was like, why does everybody need saving all the time? Anyway, just made me think of that. So the TARDIS picks up a random distress signal. They land on this ship, which has got it's got 42 minutes left before it crashes into the sun. Mm-hmm. The reason why the ship is there, because the captain has been mining the elements from the sun, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, because what she didn't realise is what the sun is, that this sun in the solar system is actually organic, is like alive, which she didn't realise. But as a result of mining all of the solar energy, I guess, from this sun, it's had enough, so it's possessed one of the people, goes on a bit of a killing rampage. The Doctor figures this out and then, saves the day. There's a few deaths involved, but ultimately, and then Martha comes very close to biting the dust, but ultimately it's a good news story at the end, minus the killing.
Yes, that's right. I guess a few of them do get picked off pretty quick, actually, really, out of the crew.
Yeah. Yeah. So, 42. Overall, not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
No, it's not bad. I think, like we said earlier, it gets overlooked. It's one, we often say this, if you put it on the box set, it's not one you gravitate towards.
Right.
I was intrigued to watch it just because of Chibnall, and I haven't seen this for a long time. So, obviously, with Chibnall taking over, I thought, let's go back and watch some of his stuff and see what we might be in for. One thing I will say about this episode is it's definitely got potential, and it's definitely got some great stuff in there. Whether it's fully realised, I'm not so sure, but it's got some good bits in there, and I do think overall it's pretty good. I still think it's a good episode, but I don't know, it's also got some shortfall into which we'll go into a bit. So liked it, but I don't think it's great.
Oh, okay. I quite liked it.
It's not a classic.
I quite liked it. I quite liked it for the suspense and the build-up. It's because it's got this countdown timer constantly in the background,
and it's more or less in real time, isn't it? So the episodes,
more or less.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, not quite.
It does jump a little bit. It jumps from like 40 something down to like 36 quite quickly, or something like that. But it's relatively in real time. But I like that constant pressure. And it's got like a build up to it, and people are dying, and Martha's trapped, and then the Doctor gets possessed himself, and so it's got a really big. I can see why Chris Chibnall would have wrote it this way, because everything does build up and build up, but then the ending isn't that great to me. So I didn't really find the ending particularly great. The
ending just is strange because it just wraps up. It's like really, really quick wrap up, and we're off. Bye. It's a really. I think actually that's you've hit the nail on the head there, because it's there's some great stuff in this episode, and then you get to the end, and it's so flat that it kind of, when it finishes, it leaves you feeling underwhelmed, I think. But yeah, I think you're right. It is mainly just the ending. It's just like, oh, is that it then?
Yeah, because considering there's such a big build-up and is very suspenseful, and it's all building stuff at the end, I was just expecting a much bigger climax. But
yeah. One thing because as I said, I hadn't watched this for a while, and in my memory, I remember it being quite slow. I remember thinking that the first 5 minutes was like lots of action and stuff, and then I sort of remember the rest of the episode being really slow and padded out, which actually, rewatching this again last night, it's actually all go, isn't it? Pretty much. It's nothing like I remembered it at all. It's actually really quite on the go. It's sort of action from the get-go. As I said, there's a lot of shouting in it. It's one of the things I thought, if anything, it could have done with a few bits where it just took time to breathe, because it is just full on, this episode, isn't it? It's just lots of running around, lots of shouting, lots of, there is some good action bits, but there's no time to breathe in the episode, and there's no time to get to know the characters particularly.
Yes, there is a lot of running around and shouting. But I think it's just, I think I'm the same. I remember it being a bit slower.
Yeah.
But it does move at quite a fast pace. And it is a little bit like, because Doctor Who has suffered quite a lot with this, especially in some of the newer stuff, where the support cast, we haven't got to know them well enough, and we haven't got any character building. So when they die, we just don't care.
Exactly.
There's not enough investment in the supporting characters. So it does suffer from that a little bit. The only character that they really sort of built upon more than anyone was the captain. Was it Michelle Collins?
Michelle Collins, yeah.
Yeah, from EastEnders fame.
McDonald.
Yeah.
McDonald, I mean. Yeah.
And so we don't really get. I mean, we know that she's ultimately responsible for this, because we find out that she's the reason why the ship is there mining the solar rays. What is it they're mining? Because they did tell us in the episode, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it is. Anyway, so she's responsible. So we find out a bit about that, and also the first crew member that's possessed is her husband, and we get a little bit of a strange, like, what's she up to? Because while he's possessed, he's like, it's your fault. So we get a little bit of character building there with her, but the rest of the crew is pretty much, they're just your bog standard, run-of-the-mill crew members to be pipped off.
Yeah. I will say, as we're talking about the crew, I think the actors themselves are actually fairly decent. I don't think the acting's bad. I just think that the characters aren't fleshed out, if you know what I mean. So when we say, for example, the crew are rubbish in this, I don't think it's down to the acting, because I was sort of watching that quite a bit yesterday thinking, actually, the people in this, the cast actually are doing quite a good job, but they're not fleshed out enough in terms of the characters. So like you said, we don't really care when they get picked off particularly. I mean, I must admit, I don't know if I was half asleep, but I didn't even realise that was her husband until it was actually said very explicitly, that's my husband. I didn't even, that just went over my head, because I think he gets sort of killed quite quickly towards the start, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The husband guy.
Well,
so I didn't even realise that. I just thought it was just a member of the crew, and so there was no connection there between her and him that I felt, oh no, her husband,
Yeah, well, he gets killed, but then he comes back. What, twice?
Twice, yeah. Just can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, so story-wise, it's got potential, like you say. I thought the writing was very good, actually. The actual dialogue and stuff, I thought that was pretty good. From Chibnall. I think it's one of those episodes that just lacks something. It lacks a little bit of, in my opinion, it lacks a little bit of character work, and it's a bit of a lame ending.
Yeah, I mean, because the actual when they're possessed and they put on the sort of space. Well, no, what is it? It's like a welder's helmet type thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that they don't kill people with their ray-like eyes. I actually think that works really well. I love the look of the actual helmet itself, because it's got no sort of eyes or anything. It actually looks quite menacing when it's coming towards you, and the fact that they open the eyelids up to to kill people. It's a good. Yeah, I like the concept of it.
Yeah.
So I think there are some good creepy bits to do with that work really well. I just don't think it was quite utilised quite enough. Because there's a good bit when that guy gets sort of killed and then he's coming back to life and you just sort of see just his arm moving across the floor.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because he's sort of completely still, but it's just the arm coming back to life. And you think, oh, and it's just quite a nice little eerie moment. So if they'd have done a bit more of that, I think it could have been good. Because I was thinking, would this have benefited from being a two-parter? And to be honest with you, I don't think it would have, because there's not enough story in there, and also it's so claustrophobic being on that one set that I think if we'd have spent any more time there, it would have two episodes would have been too much. But it definitely needed a bit more fleshing out in places.
Yeah, I agree with that, mate. I think if we had a two-parter, it would have been too slow.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah,
and it's quite similar to the Satan Pit. Is it? What's the?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is a little bit. Actually,
with the guy that gets.
Yeah.
So then that was a two-parter, but I think we had more time around the supporting characters in that one.
Definitely.
So that was. I know it's a different thing altogether, but it was quite similar in its basic concept. So maybe a two-parter if we had a bit more character stuff going on, possibly. But I think you're right. Yeah, I think any more than that, it would have slowed it down too much. So, yeah.
Was there any particular characters that you warmed to in this? I mean, there's this sort of strange romance storyline between Martha and one of the guys that kind of goes absolutely nowhere and seems a bit pointless, to be honest. But
yeah,
did you warm to it? Did you sort of like any of the guys? I mean, there's a bit where they're doing quiz questions, isn't there? Which is sort of, I guess, trying to add a bit of humour into the episode. And again, I don't know. Didn't sort of. I don't know. You could sort of imagine if the character was written a bit more funny, a bit funnier, they could have sort of used that bit with the quiz to make him likable. Sort of thing. Oh, he's funny. He knows the answers. But it kind of like, again, it's one of those ideas that doesn't quite come off, I think.
Yeah.
Because what is the quiz question thing about? They're trying to open doors with quiz questions or something?
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's a bit like when you change your password on your computer.
Yeah, yeah.
And they say, like, you can't use something basic. And like those security questions as well. So I think what they did was one drunken night, they all said, right, let's change the passwords and it'll be like personal questions and stuff.
Yeah, which is a nice idea.
Yeah, I thought that was a good sort of comic relief for you almost, because there was some moments like that in his story actually where there was some humorous little bits sort of thrown in there, and I thought that was something that wasn't directly in your face, like, haha, this is funny. It was like a nice little sort of moment in the story, really. And I hope that's what we get from Chibnall, in the new stuff. I hope we get that, because I think, not to beat up on Moffat again too much, but I think one of the things that hasn't been that fantastic in the newer stuff is the humour. I think they've tried to be a bit too direct and in your face with it.
Yeah.
So I think and Capaldi's been great to handle that. He has been really good. He has been really funny at times, but I like that more sort of indirect, sort of include,
subtle.
Really. Yeah. So hopefully Chibnall will bring some of that stuff in, but yeah. So what did you think to this little romancy thing then between Martha and what was the character's name? Was it?
Well, this is the thing, you see. I couldn't tell you any. I mean, I know we are bad with names anyway, but I genuinely couldn't tell you any of the characters' names in this at all, because it's so full-on, high-octane. It doesn't stop at all. So I never really get a chance to know anybody that's in it. And I couldn't tell you any of their names, to be honest.
Right, yeah. Riley.
Riley, is it?
Riley, yes. Yeah. Played by William Ash. So they spend most of the episode together, really. They go off to try and get through all the doors with the security questions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do have like this little, are they, won't they, will they, won't they
moment.
Yeah. And he does get a nice little peck at the end, but I thought his character was quite good. I thought I liked him. He had, again, like I just said, had like a funny couple of one-liners, and yeah. You wasn't a fan?
I thought he was all right. I just can't even. It just didn't really register with me at all, to be honest with you. Because I love that scene. I think that bit where they get in the escape capsule, and it gets jettisoned, and they're going towards the planet about to burn up, and I think that's brilliant. Because I remember thinking at the time, how the hell are they going to get out of that? Mm-hmm. That's really, and it's great. It's brilliantly filmed the way that the doctor's at one window and she's at the other, and it's just slowly drifting towards that. Yeah, I love that whole bit, but I can't remember the characters she's with at all. Really, just didn't do anything for me at all. Really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's a great moment. That I love that bit. I actually even now can't think, how does he get her back? Doctor goes outside the spaceship, pulls a lever. Does that bring the capsule back or something?
Yeah, it remagnetizes the ship. So
yeah. Why would they put that switch on the outside? It would have been so much easier if it had been inside the spaceship.
You can't. Of course, we could say that about every story.
I know, it does seem crazy, doesn't it? Well, where shall we put this very important switch? Yeah. I know, we'll put it on the outside of the spaceship.
Yeah, but yeah, that was mind you, having said that, I didn't actually mind that bit in the story, because it would have been all too easy to just get the sonic screwdriver and jam it into a bunch of cables, and all of a sudden it's fixed. And
true.
So, and it was a good scene with the Doctor suiting up in the orange spacesuit and getting ready to go out, and it was quite good actually.
I agree. I'm trying not to talk too much about Tennant because I want to save it up till we actually get to speak about the Doctor later. But I agree with you. Yeah, it does give us a great scene, and Tennant, rocking that slightly different orange spacesuit, isn't it? Slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other supporting cast members that floated your boat or didn't or whatever?
Well, Michelle Collins, I will say, is better than I remember. Surprisingly, I just don't remember thinking she was that good when I first watched this all those years ago. What year did you say it was?
2007.
Oh, blimey. She didn't do anything for me the first time I watched this, because I remember thinking, maybe because I'm not a fan of the soaps, and perhaps I just thought, oh, it's Michelle Collins. But actually, when I watched this again, I actually thought she gives a fairly decent performance, I thought. She's actually, I would say she's good in it. She's not over the top. She's quite gritty.
She's intense, isn't she, without being pantomime?
Definitely. Yeah, she was much better than I remembered. I actually thought she was quite decent in it, yeah. Yeah.
She was good, actually. I didn't mind Michelle Collins in this. Much better. I'm not into soaps either, but I remember years ago my parents watching EastEnders and stuff. I remember seeing her in it, but not really paying much attention. I thought, she was good.
Yeah, I think in my memory, I was thinking, I remember her sort of being quite gobby and mouthy, and I thought, and I always get turned off by characters like that. But she isn't, actually. She's just very strong in terms of she's quite in control, and it's a good bit at the end when she sort of tricks the husband, who's obviously possessed, into walking into the capsule. Because as I said, I'd forgotten all of this, so I couldn't see what was coming. I probably should have done, but the bit where she sort of, you think she's hiding from him, but actually she's just trying to get him to walk into the capsule so that she can jettison it and they can both die. Mm-hmm. So basically to get rid of him. So I actually thought she was fairly decent in this. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little ploy, which was she sacrificed herself, really.
Yeah.
Which kind of comes full circle, I suppose. It's her fault that everyone's dying and everything. So,
but is it though? Because I kept thinking she's getting the blame for everything. This is your fault.
Well, it is her fault.
She didn't know that this thing was alive. It's not like she's done it on purpose. It's a bit like, I just I didn't quite get that. I was thinking she's getting all the flack here. But she didn't know she didn't know that they would hurting this planet.
It's indirectly her fault.
I suppose so. She does say there is a throwaway line about, we don't have time to check these things or something. And I thought, okay, so that kind of insinuates she could have checked, but she didn't. So that kind of makes it her fault. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which actually I kind of like, because that's very true to life, isn't it? So many things in real life that happen because people don't, in inverted brackets, have the time. So I quite like that, because that kind of rings true to me, like, that they could have checked, but they just didn't because they just want to get on and make money or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other supporting cast, not really anything else to shout about. We had the Doctor. Francine, she gets fried fairly early on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we had that other crew member as well. She got fried quite early on.
Yeah, they get picked off pretty quick at the start, don't they?
And we had the mechanic guy.
Is that the bold guy?
Yeah, Vash. No, what's his name?
That goes on for quite a while, actually. It's quite a gruesome death, the bold guy. Because I was thinking, he gets the sort of steam coming from his head.
Yeah.
The other so I was thinking, it's quite gruesome, actually, because it's not over within seconds. It seems to go on for ages. Where he's just sort of going screaming with the pain. Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't anything too nuts to shout home about.
No.
And then we had the other guy who was more... I don't know what the other guy did. He was like a mechanic stroke, technical stroke guy, crew member guy.
Is that the bearded guy?
Yeah, he survives at the end with Riley.
Yeah. Because I recognise him from other stuff. I don't know the actor's name, but I've seen him in other things. Yeah, he was okay.
So, supporting cast, not too bad. Well, we've absolutely seen worse.
Oh yes.
So these were pretty good, actually. I can't complain too much. Yeah. So Martha Jones. What did you think to before you kick off? I can see you've got a frown there. There's something coming. My biggest thing with Martha is I quite like Martha. My biggest thing though is that I think Freema just isn't at her best in Doctor Who.
Right, okay.
Some of the other things that I've seen her in, she was in this courthouse drama, and she was very good in that.
She gave up Torchwood to do that, didn't she?
Yeah, and there was something else I saw her in as well, and she was really good. I just think that she's not at... I don't know what it is. I just can't... Like, in terms of her performance or acting and stuff, she definitely gives her all. She's definitely into it, but I just can't... She's just not... Doesn't do it for me in terms of, acting prowess. It just doesn't... I don't know. Yeah, and I find that a lot with most of the Martha episodes.
Okay.
I actually really like her when she's not, like, as a regular. Like, so when she came back for The End of Time.
All right.
And those sorts of things. I quite like her in that. But, yeah, what do you think to Martha in this, then?
Well, you just said you spotted my frown there, which when we first started doing these podcasts, you wouldn't have been able to see because we never used to have the cameras on. But no, the thing is, the reason I got a frown is because Martha comes in for a lot of stick, I think. And I'm normally one of those people that stands up for her. I actually quite like Martha as the companion. But the frown is there because in this, I actually didn't think she was that good. And I'm starting to think maybe I should go back and watch some more. And maybe I'll start seeing why people don't think she's a good companion. Because I've always thought she was good. Like in Human Nature and that. I just thought she was great. I always sort of stick up for Martha. But yeah, I don't know why. In this episode, she didn't really do it for me. I felt she was giving a bit too much of a over-the-top performance.
Right.
Yeah, I just didn't think she was that good in it. And the scenes where she's talking to her mum just go on for far, far too long. Like when she's doing the whole, can you look up the answer to this thing for me? And I was thinking, oh, get on with it. And the less said about the mum, the better. Because whereas Donna's family are likeable and believable, I just find Martha's family really irritating and rubbish.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think the mum's a particularly good actress, to be honest. I think she's really... I just don't find her very believable, So yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Something about Martha just doesn't really work for me in this story, and I don't know what it is. I just, like you, find that she's not really that believable in it somehow.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that whole scene with her mum as well doesn't really help. I can see why it's there because aren't they trying to track down the Doctor? Isn't it? This is the whole master. Thing, is that right? He's
Saxon, isn't it? Saxon's listening in and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So I understand why it's there, but it didn't need the additional scene at the end. We have early on in the episode when she rings her mum.
Yeah.
And we have that. Then we have another one, almost completely identical. Those two scenes. I just didn't think we needed both of them in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the ending is just rubbish. I just thought, well, what was that about? I guess because it does follow into that overriding arc of the whole story that series. But
Yeah.
no, I don't know. Freema, I do like Freema, but maybe I'm going to have to go back and watch some more of her because she certainly wasn't as good in this as I thought she was. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind Freema. Like I said, I don't mind Martha as the companion. She's okay. I just can't. I mean, I thought she was quite good at that point where they're in the escape pod.
Yeah, that's the best bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great scene in the episode anyway. But I think she's quite good in that. She's quite good where she's obviously really crapping herself. And you can see the doctor, it's really good at how it's cut together where the doctor is he's screaming through the window I'll save you.
She's like, what?
Yeah, and when you cut to Martha, it's just silent and you can't hear him. So that whole bit in the story was great. And I thought, yeah, she was good in there. But the rest of it was a bit fluffy for me.
I think what it is I like Martha when she's not so shouty and and all that, and in this she has to sort of scream and shout a lot,
right?
And I like it more when she's actually, because as I said, I don't just going back to Human Nature again, that whole, I like it when Martha's being clever and that sort of stuff, sussing things out and a more toned down performance. And in this one she's given quite a lot of running around to do, and we've got to get this done, and I don't know, she sort of goes a bit over the top for me. So I prefer sort of quiet and more controlled Martha than hysterical, oh my God, I'm going to die, I must phone my mum now, and all that sort of Martha. Yeah.
Well, she must have done a fairly good job because the doctor gives her a key to the TARDIS at the end.
Yeah.
So she couldn't have been done, in the doctor's eyes anyway, she didn't do that bad.
No, it's a nice little moment there, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Martha wasn't too bad.
She's okay.
Mr. Tennant.
Yes. Tennant.
The doctor. What did you reckon to old Tennant in this one?
Right. Well, I thought David Tennant was fantastic in this episode. I'm glad you said that. Yep. I actually, you might be a bit surprised by my score because of what I've said about this so far. But the reason for my score, which we'll go on to later, is that David Tennant is fantastic in this episode. And, well, I mean, he is good anyway, but I was watching quite closely to see how Chibnall wrote the Doctor. Yeah. Because of what we're going to be in for. So I was sort of watching it perhaps a bit more closely than I would be, just to see how he tackled writing the Doctor. He's given great lines for a start. There's some good chirpy one-liners. And the bit with the possession and everything, David Tennant does menacing very well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's so believable when he's like, I can't control it. And he's like, you will burn with me. And I really thought, considering some of the other bits of the story are a bit flat, I actually thought David Tennant is giving everything in this, and he's really bringing the episode up for me.
Great,
yeah,
cool.
I think he really shines in this one, and once again, a lot more than I thought. I don't remember thinking, like watching this the first time around, thinking, God, blimey, David Tennant's a great Doctor. I didn't remember thinking he was so good in it. Yeah. The first time watching it yesterday, he's brilliant in it. I think really, really good.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I'm glad you said that because I thought that was like one of the best bits of the episode was his performance.
He really brings it up.
Yeah, and like you, I'd forgotten as well. I think, as I mentioned last week, I've only seen this one once or twice tops. And when I watched it, I'm afterwards thinking, flipping hell, David Tennant he really smashed it in this one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And it's a really good chunk of David Tennant to watch, actually, because he's really good in this. He's very, very good as well in the next two, Human Nature and the Family of Blood.
Yeah.
We don't see him too much in the one after that, Blink, even though that's a great episode.
Oh, Blink, yeah.
And then the one after that, Utopia, he's really good in that as well.
Yes.
So there's like 5 or 6 episodes here, a chunk of Doctor Who, where if you want to see Tennant at his best, then check out this chunk of time in Series 3. Really, really good. But I thought he brought everything to the table in this one for me. So he was really funny at times. He was quite... sort of very cautious, and you can see like the cogs were turning at some point where he was trying to figure out, and while he didn't know what was going on 100%, you could tell that he really cares about Martha as well at this point, because there was a couple of times when the other crew members couldn't really hear him, he made it very clear to Martha. He was like, be careful, because and she was like, yeah, well. And then he had this like emotional side to him. And then, and this funny side, then he had this really, just absolutely desperate to save everybody, because there was a couple of times where the other crew members' spirits were like really rock bottom, morale was really low. He's like, oh, come on, where's your spirit and all that. So he's desperate to get everybody perked up and, and save the day. And then those other bits as well, where he's possessed and he's trying to fight it and stuff like that. That doesn't come, that kind of acting is, is just super stuff to watch. And you think to yourself, that is just, that is him absolutely 100% inside the character's head at that point.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, I agree with you, because if someone's not acting well or they're slightly off point, you pick up on it straight away. Yeah. And I think if you're sat there watching it, just engaged in it, they're doing something right. And as I say, I was watching quite carefully yesterday because I was intrigued to see how he was written. And yeah, I just thought he was bang on. I was really not surprised, because I always like Tennant, but there are stories where I think we've said before, where you do feel he's a little bit going through the numbers. You sort of think, well, he's comfortable enough now. He's kind of just, going through the motions a little bit. But in this, I think he's given a lot, especially when he's possessed and that. He's properly going for it. Yeah. So yeah, I really, really thought he was good in this. Very impressed with Tennant. And actually, just to go back to Chibnall, I think he gives Tennant some really nice lines. I was just looking through my notes because I thought I'd made some notes of them, but I haven't. But there were a couple of really nice little humorous moments in this, and they amazingly don't get lost in between the shouting, because they could have quite easily got lost between the shouting. But there are some nice little bits from the Doctor in this, so that's quite promising in terms of how Chibnall writes the Doctor, I think. Yeah,
as in like Here Comes the Sun and those nice little notes that you don't really... I'm assuming not everyone picks up on, but they're really nicely written little bits. And that's a good point, actually. Chibnall did give him some great stuff to work with. Yeah. Because it must have been like quite intimidating for him to read that script and think, right, at first glance, it looks like we're just going to be on this spaceship, run of the mill, save the crew, do the off. But then there's quite a range of emotions, and then there's that whole possession scene, and he's got... So, yeah, for Tennant to actually read that scripts and words and put it into a living, breathing performance is a testament to his acting, really. He's so good in this one.
I must admit, I very naively thought when I first watched this that there was a moment where I thought, he's not going to regenerate, is he? I know that sounds silly now, but at the time, I just wondered, because that bit where he's possessed and all that, and he does actually say there's something that happens and all this, and it was quite a big build-up. And it's quite horrific, really, when he's screaming out loud and it's coming out of his eyes, all that stuff. And I do remember the first time I watched this, as I said, very naively thinking, no, he's not actually going to regenerate, surely. Which I know sounds crazy now. But
yeah,
I did think that at the time. I do remember thinking that.
Yeah, it's a nice little include, though. I think that's the bit where they're trying to get him into the stasis chamber to freeze it out of him. Yeah. And he's like, there's something that happens to me just before I'm about to die or something. Yeah, so that... And maybe, I mean, obviously it's like midway through the series. We know he's not going to regenerate, but it's still so well done that it does. Your mind has to just take a quick split seconds. Like, really? No, it's not. But
yeah, and also you've got to remember back then, sort of watching this the first time it aired as well. Things were quite unpredictable back then with Russell, because if you think about, okay, when Chris left and regenerated to Tennant, it was pretty much kept under wraps. I mean, we all knew Chris was only doing one series, but it was still quite a surprise that he regenerated at the end of Parting of the Ways. Yeah. And also, I'm thinking, do you remember when the Doctor gets shot by the Dalek and starts regenerating in, is it Stolen Earth or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
There were things when you thought, no, really? Have they managed to, is there going to be a regeneration? Have they managed to secretly film, So there were moments like that during the RTD era where you just sort of thought, oh, this, it's unlikely, but this could actually happen. So, yeah. But obviously we know better now.
Obviously, yes. Yeah. And so I think, we're in agreement there. Tennant is fantastic in it. And other than that, there's much to say. I mean, I like the Douglas Adams reference in the title of the episode.
Yes.
It's quite nice. Which Chris Chibnall did actually say at some point after this went out that that was completely intentional, even though it ties in with the almost real timeness of the episode, which is quite good.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, what do we think? Scores.
Well, all in all, and just before we go on to score, one big note that I made on this actually is how fantastic the episode looks. It is visually brilliant.
Right. Okay. Yep.
It is so full of colour, and yeah, I think visually it's a fantastic looking episode. And the CGI still pretty much stands up really, really well, I think, in this. So I was quite impressed with that. I was a little bit unimpressed with the direction, considering it's Graham Harper. It was a little bit flat at times, I thought.
Yes, it was. I think intentionally so.
Yeah?
I think, yeah, because it's quite confined, like we said, and it's quite quite simplistic in its story. I think it's focused more around what the characters are going through. And even though it's quite action-packed, there's a lot of running and shouting and going on, I think it's more focused on the characters in frame, and, you know, it's quite an emotional story, so...
So just before we do the scores, I can't remember whose turn is it to go first.
I think it's me.
I think it's you. Just before you give your score, would you say this is an underrated episode?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say so.
Yep.
So I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. So am I.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 7.5. Yeah.
Wow. I have to reassure everybody, because we've done this quite a few times before. We absolutely 100% do not know what score we're going to put down. We don't even speak about the episode, do we? Like
no, we don't.
That whole 7-day period or 5-day period between when we tell you what we're going to be reviewing and recording it, which is normally on a Thursday, we never speak about the episode at all, do we?
No, not
or
at
even
all.
the score. So that's completely coincidental. But yeah, 7.5. I was going funny because before I watched it, I thought I remember this being about a 5 or a 6 when I first watched it.
Same.
But when I rewatched it, there's just some little things in there that make it good. The writing is brilliant. I thought that even though the story as a whole is relatively, dare I say it, bland. And, you know,
it's simple, isn't it?
Very simplistic. It's quite bland in terms of its concept and stuff like that. But Tennant's performance and the script just bring it up, you know, a little bit for me from what I remember. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I would say, I think if it had just had a better ending.
Of course, yeah.
And, just a couple of little tweaks, I think this could have been definitely, you know, much higher. It could have easily been one of those episodes that, you know, you think of as a classic.
Yeah.
There's just one or two little bits that just let it down slightly, but yeah, mainly the ending. It just gets wrapped up, doesn't it? And then they're off.
Yeah.
Bye.
That's it. Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame really because there's some good stuff in it.
Yes. What did you guys think? Quickly over on Twitter, Pedro the Whovian, Peter Adamson says a very underrated story, if at times dull. It gives it 6.5.
6.5, okay.
Yes, on Facebook. Before we get to Facebook, let's play an audio clip. This is one of our long-term listeners. This is Loopy Lou.
Ah, Lou.
Hey guys, so 42. This seems to be a somewhat underrated episode, but it is one of my favourite 10th Doctor stories, and I'll tell you why. It's got a bit of a classic feel to it. It's compact with no bells and whistles. It's gritty and raw, and there's a real threat there. The enemy within sort of thing, and the Doctor becoming that enemy is really quite frightening. Also, I like how strong Martha is in this episode. The bit where she's freezing him, it's really quite shocking to see the Doctor so vulnerable and truly afraid. But great to see Martha stepping up as a doctor, a companion and a friend. Great story, 9 out of 10.
9.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lou.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lou.
Over on Facebook, Lewis Palmer says, just rewatched this and I think it's an underrated gem. It's scary, compelling, exciting and so enjoyable. Everything a story should be. If I had to pick flaws, I'd say that the Elvis Beatles thing went on a bit too long. I feel like the Doctor should have been more affected after he gets taken over. His screams of "I'm so scared" were so powerful. I feel like it should have had a lasting impact like Midnight. Overall, I love this one. Easily gets a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Okay,
Another 9,
good
yeah.
high score. Yeah.
Scott Stearns. I watched this the other week after Chibnall's announcement. I enjoyed it more than I remembered. It reminded me that I liked Martha as a companion. I tend to forget season 3, but her family not so much. There seems to be a lot of deja vu going on there. Tennant, excellent as always. Nice mix of family issues, pub quizzing, and the sun creatures spouting about villainous pronouncements. A bit formulaic, with lots of running, but still a good episode, 7.5. Another audio clip. What's Jay Kent got in store this week?
Hello, Gary and Adam. Blimey, is it hot in here, or are we just casually plummeting towards the sun? Yes, 42, the answer to everything. And I find it very weird as an episode. I mean, it had everything I want from a Doctor Who episode to be good. Original ideas, emotional depth to the Doctor, a nice little scene where all hope's lost, the orange spacesuit. The idea of the sun being sentient I'm in love with, and the little political aspect with the oiling and the mining I thought was cleverly done. This had the formula to make me love an episode, but it falls down tremendously due to one thing. It's too damn slow. It feels like they're trying to take up 42 minutes. I guess it picks up towards the end, but I rarely get that far without wandering off to do something else. It's disappointing, but to that I'm going to have to give it a 5.5 out of 10. However, if Chibnall knocks off original ideas like this, I'm confident with his place as head writer in Series 11. Hope you're alright and have a good rest of the show.
Cheers, Jay.
Nice one, Jay.
If Chibnall knocks off any more. Yeah, brilliant. Back on Facebook, Christopher Law says, it's not one that I would choose to rewatch, but it was actually really pleasantly surprised. I didn't realise how quickly most of the team got killed off and was quite shocked. The Doctor is brilliant in this episode and plays Possessed really well. This episode is often dismissed, but I think it is one of those underrated gems. Granted, Martha and O'Donnell are a little bit irritating, but on the whole, a great story, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
Lots of people saying it's underrated.
I think it is one that, if you go back and watch it, I think is better than you remember.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
George Coppen says, I love the villain in this one, and I feel like this is an episode that gets overlooked a lot of the time.
There you go.
The Doctor is scared, and we hardly ever see that. Only downside was I thought the crew weren't that brilliant. But 8 out of 10. Sammy Satine, she says, okay, so they took fuel from a living sun, and the sun is enacting its revenge by killing them all. I must admit the sun is pretty scary, but to be fair, they shouldn't have scooped it out for fuel. You're right, Sammy, they shouldn't. Also, can I say, David Tennant's acting is superb. I love the red spacesuit. Why do these O'Donnells always have to die? I think Abby, the nurse, is Sally Donovan in Sherlock.
Oh, could be.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good episode. I think this is one of Chris Chibnall's best Doctor Who episodes. 8 out of 10 for David.
Yes.
Greg Toby. One of my favourite episodes from Series 3. Fast-paced, action-packed traditional Who. 9 out of 10. Chris Chibnall, here's to the future. Last thing on Facebook.
Is that a Delta quote there?
Yeah. That song at the end. Ben Smith says, it's good but not great. The villain is creepy and seeing the Doctor possessed is unnerving. However, all the characters are fairly generic and the phone calls get annoying. It's flatly directed, but the central plot is fairly solid. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, okay.
Let's finish up with audio. This is from Who Addicts, Matt Rowney.
42 is the definition of an average filler episode. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it wasn't fantastic, and it wasn't awful. It was just there. It exists in Series 3, it's part of continuity, it's part of mythology, and that's all really. There are a few good points. I think the setting of them being on a ship that's hurtling towards the sun is very close to home and in a way quite relatable, I guess, with it being in our solar system. And I really liked how it was set in real time as well. I think that worked really well with the setting and it kind of built up to a climax. And the Doctor and Martha, I guess, were solid in this. But what I didn't like was the side cast. And unfortunately, because I didn't like the side cast, I didn't in turn like the villain. The side cast were very boring, unlikable, flat, two-dimensional, and I wasn't really bothered about them at all. So when, was it Corbin, was taken over by the sun, I wasn't upset for his wife, I wasn't upset for his friends, and when he was going around chasing them, I wasn't exactly rooting for them. I didn't care, and I think when you don't care about the villain and the threat and the side characters, I think when you don't care for them, it pretty much takes you out the episode completely. So apart from the Doctor and Martha and the setting, nothing really was going for me in this, so I guess it's only fair to give this a very average 5 out of 10.
Cheers, Matt.
5 out of 10. I love the fact we can always hear Matthew's bird in the background. His parrot.
Yeah, it's very
whistling away.
It's very funny. Yeah, cheers, Matt. 5 out of 10. Yeah, semi-impressed, semi-flat. Yeah. Anything over on the Geeks Handbag channel?
Geeks Handbag, yeah. We just the one this week from Callum Johnston, I believe. Why am I never ready these days? Yeah, Callum Johnston, who says probably Chibnall's best. I love the fact we just, like Moffat, the Moff, we just called Chibnall.
Yeah. Old Chibbers.
Old Chibbers.
Yeah.
Probably Chibbers' best Who episode, as there's something about it that just brings excitement, with the added tension of the Doctor being possessed and there being a race against time aspect. Really like the acting and the monster and the setting. Extras are dull, and Kath was a really annoying character in my opinion. Callum is giving it a 7 out of 10. Which one's Kath? Is that Kath McDonald and Michelle Collins?
Michelle Collins, yeah.
Yeah, I thought she's all right, but yeah, I agree. I agree with the rest. Yeah.
Okay,
cheers, Callum.
Cheers, mate. So I think unanimously, people think this is an underrated episode.
Yeah, well, I would say overlooked. It's just one that gets
or overlooked.
Yeah.
And I think I said that on the outro on the last episode. We're going to be looking at one of the more overlooked stories from series 3. So it definitely is. But if you've got a spare afternoon or a spare couple of hours and you want to check out some Tennant that you haven't seen in a while, it's definitely worth a watch. I wouldn't say it's like highly recommended from the Tennant era, but it's definitely worth picking off the shelf and give it a watch if you haven't watched it in a while, because I certainly appreciate it more. So certainly Tennant's performance anyway.
Yes, I'd definitely agree with you there. I think like we both said the same thing as well, that if you'd have asked us about it before we rewatched it, we'd say it was pretty middle of the road, 5 or 6, and we've both sort of gone up to more around the 7-8 mark with it after rewatch. So yeah, I'd agree with that. There is one thing that worries me though about this. Well, it's just that this was Chibber's first script for Doctor Who, which is what I asked about at the beginning. And it does slightly worry me that most of us think that it was his show me the money. It was, but most of us think it was his best. Because I'm sort of thinking, oh dear. So does that mean he used his best?
Oh right,
I mean, I don't like the thought that he might have run out of steam after his first episode if he's taken over as showrunner. So really hoping old Chibbers has got some good new fresh ideas up his sleeve.
Old Chibbers,
yeah.
Yes, but, I certainly hope so.
It just just a little bit.
Next week we're going old school.
Oh, we are
proper old school. What we're reviewing next week?
We're off to BT Tower next week, aren't we? We're going to revisit a first Doctor story.
Yay!
And it's going to be the War Machines.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't see it, listeners, but me and Gary are both doing our lapel.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Lapel stroking.
Yeah. I was trying to find an appropriate word that didn't sound just plain wrong.
Yes.
But yeah. So we're both doing our Hartnell lapelling. So War Machines next week.
Yeah, blimey, it's been a while since we've done a first Doctor story, hasn't it?
I know, yeah.
When did we last do a first Doctor? Wow, it was back in. It was a long time ago. It was back in April of last year.
No way.
The Time Meddler.
Oh my goodness me. Definitely time we reviewed a first Doctor then.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's going to be cool.
It's going to be good. And you're on about your locations earlier. If you want me to take you to the what would you call it? Muse, where the War Machine battles the Doctor, we can go there because it's very, very easy to go to in central London.
Oh, great.
So we're looking forward to that one.
Yes, next week. Going back to the first Doctor, black and white.
Black and white.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
So dig out your DVDs, head over to whatever streaming service, if it's still on there, should I say. I know there's been a bit of hoo-ha about Netflix removing Doctor Who recently and stuff like that. But so if you got the DVD, dig it out, give it a watch, and we'll look forward to your thoughts next week. And we're going to wrap for there, buddy.
Okay.
So that's going to do for episode 77.
7.
There we go. Thank you very much for sending in your your thoughts and reviews on 42. We mostly agree with everything you've said, really. An overlooked stroke underrated Tennant story. Tennant is fantastic in it. And it's definitely worth a watch if you've not seen it in a long time. Yeah. Congrats again to the Moff. Now, walking around with that nice little badge. I imagine him to sleep with that, like next to it, like just carry it around all the time. Like,
yeah, this old thing. Yeah, I've got just happened to have it on me.
Yeah,
showing everybody in the street. Yeah.
Goes into Starbucks and they're like, that'll be like $2.70 or something. He's like, oh, seen this?
That's not gets out with his change. I've just got some. Oh, there's my OBE there, by the way.
Yeah.
He'll be wearing it at signings and conventions, won't he?
Hopefully.
Oh, I hope so.
Well, I would.
Yeah.
I'd go everywhere with me. There you go. What do you reckon? So congrats to them off again. And we're looking forward to some Doctor Who pinball as well.
Certainly am. Yeah.
Which is good stuff. So next week, we're looking forward to going back to William Hartnell. So look out on Facebook for the post for that and Twitter and stuff. So head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. From there, you can check out all of the previous episodes. You can jump over to Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Give us a follow and a like. And if you listen on iTunes, could you jump over and give us a review? That'd be awesome. That really helps us out. Even if it's a bad review, we'd like to hear it anyways.
Would we?
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Any review, anything you want to say, it's fine. Just jump over to iTunes and give us a review. That'd be awesome. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah. You're on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, so I'm everywhere.
Yep.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Oh, yeah, Twitter as well, of course. Yeah. So just do a search for The Geek's Handbag. You will definitely find it. Some great videos on there. So until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember... allons-y!